Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, the latest in Naughty Dog's series that's ending, apparently, allegedly. If this is any indication, I don't really think it's ending, but I think this is the definite time to take a break, take a step back, and let it go, for a lack of a shitty Frozen reference. It's enough. I'm one of those people who really didn't like the Uncharted series that much. I think one is infuriating at times. Two, same deal. Cool moments for sure. I beat those games. I played three right before four came out on the Uncharted collection, and it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't anything. There were amazing moments, but amazingly frustrating moments. And what I loved about Uncharted 4, which is continued in The Lost Legacy, is that it is, by and large, perfectly done. I think Uncharted 4 is better, at least for how I play it. It doesn't have as many sticking points, weird edges. There were a couple instances in The Lost Legacy where I didn't know where to go or didn't know what to do in a way that Uncharted 4 proper would have been like, hey, stupid, go here. And it is just me being stupid, not noticing a ledge, not noticing whatever. But when 90% of the game is so perfectly executed and you know exactly what you need to do, and it's this cool, awesome Indiana Jones adventure, that 10% where it isn't, that's a big detriment. It's a roadblock. It stops all progress and isn't fun. But 90% of it is awesome, and that's what they did from 4 to now. It's fantastic. Those action moments, those set pieces are still here. I think the ones in 4 weren't amazing. There's one standout one in 4 in the middle where you're chasing the cars, the one they ruined in the E3 video. There's one in this game that lives up to that, but everything else is just cool. There's actually there are a few really good set piece moments, but it all feels like something you've done before, and it does kind of hamper the whole thing. Uncharted 4 came out a year and a half ago, not even, and we're getting more, and it's cool. It's great to get more Uncharted that plays well, that I actually like, unlike Uncharted 1 through 3. That's great. But it all has this, I've been here before. Even, it's not that I've seen it before, because there's some cool, amazing things that you see in this game. Just the places you go, switching their knobs and having the intricate whatever the hell Ganesh statue pop out of the ground. That's awesome, and I love that stuff. That's what I love about these games, about Tomb Raider, the recent Tomb Raiders, is finding these lost cities and seeing ruins. That's incredible. But the playing of it, everything attached to it, all feels so old. Or not necessarily old, but just, I've done this. I've been here. If this had been 2 years later, 3 years later, and you played this game, it would have felt different. Obviously, games would have been in a different place, look better, whatever, played differently, new mechanics, right? It just needs more space. There's a world where we could conceivably get a new Uncharted game along these lines every year and a half. They've shown they can do it, and they executed it pretty damn well. But I don't think that's good. I think after playing this, I feel very, very confident in their decision to go to The Last of Us 2 and leave Uncharted behind for the foreseeable future. I think there's also an issue, before I even get into any gameplay or anything like that, there's also the issue of how Uncharted 4 ends, which I won't spoil, but it ends spectacularly in a way that I want to play that. I want to play that game that they showed, that the potential future that has for the series. That's what I want to play. And if that had come out now, that would have been a problem. That would have been something like, oh no, we're ruining that potential amazing moment of having the end of Uncharted 4 be the next game because we cut it out too soon. Now, but by waiting many years, that can still be an amazing game. And it's not that the Lost Legacy is bad. It isn't bad. There's really, I think the lockpicking minigame is used too much, but that's not bad. It's a decent minigame. There's a little bit of like this open section. There was a lot of talk about it. Oh, it's this big open world area in the game, and it's not an open world. Don't ever call it that. That's silly. But it is an open section. You can kind of go to these 3 areas in any order. But it's still Uncharted. It's still Charm, climbing a tower. It's all what you expect. And people were like, you could do it in any order. And that changes how they talk to each other. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I fucking know exactly how they did this. Every single tower you go to here ends in a scene. Those scenes are interchangeable because they made them all end in the exact same architecture. All they do is look out binoculars. It's not anything spectacular. I don't know why people were amazed or impressed by that. You can do them in any order. So they just changed 2 lines of dialogue at the end of every scene. Go play those scenes and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Ridiculous. Don't be impressed by that. Be impressed by really anything else they did in the game, because it's freaking gorgeous. It's so well acted and done. But that's where we get into the problems, because I was never a big Chloe fan. I know some people really like Chloe. I don't get it. Part of the problem with that could have been that I played Uncharted 2 and then waited for like 6 years to play Uncharted 3. So I forgot that. I was like, oh yeah, that was Chloe in Uncharted 2. Completely forgot. And her role in 3 is dumb, and I didn't like it. I also didn't like Cutter, so I'm glad he's not here. Spoilers, no Cutter. But she's fine. I actually grow to like her in this. But her motivations, and especially Nadine's motivations, who is, your partner character in this, make no sense at all. And Nadine was the leader of this paramilitary mercenary organization with seemingly thousands of soldiers. And now she's doing a job for the money? At a certain point in the story, I thought she was going to be the bad guy or something, because it doesn't make any sense for her to be doing what she's doing. And they try and kind of put some little details in there of like, this is why she's doing this, this is why she's doing that. And it's weak at best. I just don't know why she's here. All they needed to do was have like a 2-minute discussion of, well, this happened to Shoreline, I left and did this, I don't have any money, you were requesting help, I can help you, that's why I'm here. But instead, they just kind of vaguely allude to, she needs money, maybe? She lost her company, but she doesn't care, but she does care. The timeline between 4 and this is completely unknown to me. Maybe it's public knowledge, but if you're just playing the games and not sucking down the teat of information about this game and all Uncharted stuff, like I was not, you do not know. I don't know. Is it a year later? Is it 7 years later? There's a character from 4 that returns. I won't say who it is, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. This character seems to be there just because they wanted another character there. It didn't add much. I don't know. It's really, as well as it's acted and performed, via the voice work and the motion capture, it just isn't, like, the story itself is not up to what I want. Or what we got with 4, or really with the other games too. Because they were always good storytelling games. This story's weak, and the plot of, we're gonna find the tusk of Ganesh is the most interesting part of the story. That's interesting. Finding all this Indian lore and learning all about that. I want to hear about that. That's cool. Parashama and all this, like, I never knew about that. He gifted his son with this axe, or he gifted this other guy with the axe, and Shiva's axe chopped off Ganesh's horn. Like, this is interesting stuff. I don't know about this. I love learning random history and whatever of cultures I'm unfamiliar with. Like, that's really cool. I want to know more about that. And it goes deep into that, and that's cool. Super down with that. But the story itself is a big missed opportunity, especially when a few tweaks that wouldn't even really require much rewriting at all, I think could have saved it from being like, from having these plot holes and these weird like, huh? Why are you? What are you? You'll see right here though, to get back to the positive. My favorite addition to Uncharted 4, something they brought over from The Last of Us, stealth. Stealth in Uncharted 4 / The Lost Legacy is fantastic. It returns here. I love it. It's very cool in the open section where you can kind of, it's not Metal Gear Solid 5 where you can take to the bases and whatever, but it's still pretty damn cool. I love the options it gives you. You know, before it was just in a shootout, now you're in a shootout, and I think Uncharted shooting has never really been its strong suit, especially when, and annoyingly so, the Uncharted games insist on having these armored enemies that you can't stealth take down. You have to take their helmet off and then shoot them in the head. Like, it's this weird, like a stealth takedown on them just takes their helmet off, and then you gotta, it's stupid. It's really dumb how that works. I don't understand why that's I don't know. That's a mess to me. But the treasure hunting, the exploration, awesome. That is what it does well. When you're not shooting stuff, I think it's fantastic. When you are, it ranges. It really does. There's a little bit too much shooting towards the end. I think I mentioned that before. Every single Uncharted seems to do that, where there's this sequence right before the end. Well, the end sequence is fantastic. But the sequence right before that is just, oh, let's throw 50 enemies at you for no reason. And the game autosaves all the time, so you really don't lose any progress, and I'm not quite sure why it needed to be this difficult. Like, it didn't need to be that. But anyway, it introduces that sequence, and another sequence introduces something that was very reminiscent to me of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Because if you remember the first boss in Peace Walker, it's a tank, and then the second boss is a helicopter. The first boss in this game is it's like an armored vehicle, and to call it a boss is a little silly, but you have to go around this area and collect RPG, shots, missiles, I don't know, and you need to collect 3, and there's 1 in each container. So you're sneaking around, finding the RPGs, shooting it once, running away and hiding. I'm like, this is exactly how I remember Peace Walker going down. This is 100% Peace Walker. And it was so weird. And I thought they did actually a pretty good job of it. That gameplay, it's utilized twice. But the first time it's used was a surprise and super cool. Like that gameplay of taking on a giant enemy, giant armored vehicle, and having to hide from it, not fighting a ton of dudes, really hiding, lockpicking a thing and finding the missile, and then a good vantage point to shoot it, and then know where you can run away. That's a cool cat and mouse game that I thought I was surprised by. I was surprised that was something they did, and they executed it so well. Just great. There's hard to say. You get trophies. Oh, that's one thing. There's tokens in this open world, and you collect them all because why not? Not that hard. There's 11 of them. You're going to find a lot of them really without trying. And it unlocks this bracelet that glows, rumbles the controller, sets out a chime on the controller, and it probably does something else too. Gives you a ton of feedback to let you know that a treasure is nearby. And that's super helpful because I've always felt the treasures were extremely hard to find in Uncharted. Maybe I'm just bad at it. That's probably all it is. But I could never find them. I was always looking around into corners and being like, I don't know. But at least with this chime bracelet thing, I could know that there's something nearby. I should investigate, and I know when to not waste my time looking around corners or looking into weird nonsense. So that's cool. And I think this sounds a little like I'm disappointed in the game, but I don't know. I don't think I am. It's about 8 hours, I should say too. Totally acceptable. It's really good. It's just not amazing. I think I would still say this is better than Uncharted 3. I need to play Uncharted 2 again, but my memories of Uncharted 2 aren't that memorable. So I don't know. My Uncharted level of love is like 4, and then everything else. Because who cares about those other nonsense games? And this was 4. This was 4 light. For all the good and bad that brings, you know. There are chapters in this of like, oh, this is like the chapter in 4. You did that again, okay. The puzzles are good overall. They don't have super annoying things like some of the puzzles in 3, good lord. There's a few in this game that have annoying control mechanisms, but they've, for the most part, sped those up. In Uncharted 3, there were a few things that you had to switch, and you'd have to wait for the animation, and it'd be now press a button. It's like, good lord, this takes too long. Actually, thinking back, some of the puzzles are really good in this, and I think the more I play of Uncharted, the more I actually enjoy what I play of Uncharted. The more I want this to be a stealth game with puzzles. I just don't. I don't understand. On a serious note, I guess I don't understand the logistics of running a mercenary army in any year ever. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Where do you get the funds? Where do you get the people? Where do you get any of this stuff? How does it even work? These people are dying everywhere. I think Uncharted needs to, for the next game in the series that, you know, goes forward with the how 4 ends, I would love to see it be a game where you are being stealthy and maybe you just knock people out. You don't kill anyone. You're just exploring. Because it does that so well. You're solving puzzles. It doesn't need to be you're killing 1,000 guys. And I'm not one of those people who's like, this creates a narrative dissonance, because I'm like, no, I don't care about that. The shooting is just not that interesting. So let's get rid of it. Whereas in something like The Last of Us, that is interesting. That plays into the survival aspect of it. In here, it's just, well, I guess we should shoot stuff. There's this one sequence towards the end, maybe like 2 hours before the end, where you're solving this puzzle, and I'm looking at the layout of this area, and I'm going, I am 100% gonna have to shoot people in this area. You can just tell there's boards and things set up already. There's too many ledges for me to hide behind. It's gonna be a shootout, and it was. And it's like, man, I don't know if I needed this shootout. The moments, and there are some in this game, where you're being shot at and you have to run are amazing. That's really cool. That makes sense. Like, because quite honestly, if 2 people were fighting your mercenary army and they were killing hundreds of your men, I think I might rethink my strategy. I wouldn't just keep going for the horn or whatever the hell. It just doesn't make any sense there. I haven't even mentioned the villain, who I think is good but underdeveloped. I don't really know why he's doing the things he's doing. Just because he wants to? I'm like, all right, I guess. That was weak. I still don't really. The villains in Uncharted games feel like they can't have any reason. Oh, hello, Joel. The villains in Uncharted games can't, like, they exist as a function of why else would there be enemies here? Oh, there must be some bad person who hired the enemies to be here. And I think it would make a lot more sense if you were just exploring, kind of like Uncharted 1, actually. You're just, no, Uncharted 1 starts with a shootout, never mind. Where you're just wandering the world and exploring, and maybe there's another group of explorers and you're racing them there. And it's not necessarily about murdering everyone, because the murder, while fun, narratively doesn't make any sense. So either make it make sense or get rid of it. And they've never really done that. Also, I'm not good at the shooting because people are mean to me. But I killed that guy. Missed the whole review, Joel, but I do think you should play this game. It is good. If you like Uncharted, it is more Uncharted. That's a reductive, silly thing to say. Sometimes people get mad when you say that. Like, if you liked A, you'll like B. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. If you did, you will. But it's good. Good, not great. Definitely not disappointed that I played it. There's some really cool moments. I almost want to go back and play some of them. There's some really cool sequences, and the way they've done, at least with Uncharted 4, I don't know if they did it with the other ones, you can just pick a sequence to play, so I can go back and I want to play the sequence where this thing collapsed and I was in the middle of it. That's what I want to do. See, Uncharted 2, I don't remember liking it that much, and I mostly hate Uncharted 3, and I love 4. So that's how I feel about this. So if you really like 4, I don't know how far you are. 4 is really long. This is basically 4 light. That's all this is, and that's fine. I wish they did more with the characters, man. They really could have done something cool with Chloe and Nadine, but they really didn't. They tried, but it just doesn't. It doesn't need the paramilitary. We're fighting an army. It doesn't need that. I don't know. I'm stuck on that. I didn't realize how stuck on that I was. I'm really stuck on that. But man, there's another sequence at the end of this. I don't know where you are, Joel, but Uncharted 4 has one of the best Mad Max moments in a video game ever, even better than the Mad Max game. It's incredible. And they have another one at the end of this. Woof! The one at the end of this, really cool. Really, really cool. But I kind of wish it hadn't. If this was a year from now and I played that sequence, I probably would have liked it more. That's how I feel about it. It's just too much Uncharted too soon. Which is weird, because it's not like it came out a week later. Look at him dancing. Chapter 5. Oh, you're still very early. It doesn't even get much even happens until like 7 or something. It's like 23 chapters in that game. It's long. It is a long ass game, but definitely get back to it. It is very good. You haven't even had a cool set piece moment. I think part of the problem too is like there's no Sully in this game. There's no Elena. There's no Drake. They mention Drake. It needs more Uncharted, and I just don't care about Chloe. So maybe if you really care about Chloe, you'll love it. But she could have died at the end. Oh. So she lives, but I mean, come on. She could have died at the end of this, and I would have been like, all right, that's kind of sad. You know what I mean? It's not one of those characters I'm super, super into. I'm also not good. See me just die? Awful. Just bad.